another Pieces of My Life. This time, What's My Line? Well, it's not like the old TV show, What's My Job? This is What's My Line? Where does my family line go? Is it straight? Is it wobbly? Anyway, I'm not going to tell you straight away, so I'll give you a couple of minutes to have a guess yourself. In the meantime, I'll tell you one or two bits that won't give you the biggest clue in the world, but it's things that happen to me. Anyway, start with, let's see. Oh, tell you what, there's some ghost chili soup. Which gets things off to a good start. Right. Yeah. So one or two little bits that happened in my life. Been to quite a few countries, and depending on where I go, I get a local, at least one local will start talking to me in that language. I have to say, sorry, I don't understand it. So it's been countries like Spain, Turkey, Tunisia, Egypt. In reality, without going on holiday anywhere, people over the years very often come up to me, where are you actually from? Or where's your family from? And I've had everything again from Spanish, Italian, Greek, Egyptian, Arab, you name it, I've had it. So out of all the years, I've only ever had one person. It was a woman who asked me, and I said, where do you think it is? And she went, so I got it right. So out of all the people that have ever had a go at it, she was the only one that got it right. So yeah, we'll more or less get on to that now. So if you consider, I mean, now I've gone sort of grey, all the darks turned to grey. When I was younger it was very black, hair was very black, so I looked very dark in that way. I would have a tan without even trying to get a flipping tan. I'm not even sure after the last 2 days of the sun we've had if I've started to get a bit of a flipping tan. It's not very gothified like, because whatever, when I was in my teens I'd wear jeans all the time and my legs went freaking brown under the jeans. Anyway, so there you go. I was also darker skin with dark hair. When I was a baby, my mum was told, oh, he's got olive skin, so he shouldn't ever have sunburn or anything like that, he should just tan. Blah, blah. So, might give you some clue, have a guess. Anyway, should I tell you now, or what? I suppose I bloody have to, wouldn't I? Well, this is really going on my dad's side, dad, father, rather than my mum's side. Maybe one day I'll sort of go along that side, I don't know. But we go along with dad's. Did you have a guess? You're not going to tell me if you got it freaking wrong, will you? You'll say, I got it right. Anyway, I'll tell you how I got to know. I didn't know myself until I was probably, I think near enough 18, I think. And I'm not sure why my mum took me so long to tell me, because I knew that I'd never seen my dad. He sort of buggered off, sort of went, "Ah, not mine," gone. So I never actually met him. So I knew that there's a dad there somewhere. That's about it. And about that age, she told me, she said, "Your dad is Ukrainian." So there you go. On my paternal, is it called paternal? On my paternal side, Ukrainian. So yeah, Ukrainian dad. Never really met him, never been in my life. Brought up with my mum and my nan brought me up. So I never had that influence in my life. Any Ukrainian influence, because there was nobody at all that was there to give that side. But when she told me, it wasn't a shock. And I'll tell you why it wasn't a shock. And this, apart from not being a shock, taught me a bit of a lesson that there's a lot in us through the genes that we carry, not the bloody things you wear. I wear a kilt. In our genes, there's a hell of a lot of information and stuff all stored in there, and it's part of us. And so yeah, when I was told, the first thing I thought is, flipping heck, I'm not surprised. That doesn't surprise me. And why? Because of things in my life that I liked as I grew up. Some of the bits will probably ring a bit of a bell with you, some won't. You probably think, well, what's that got to do with it? But if you look at the culture, it does sort of fit in. Excuse me. So I grew up, I've always liked classical music. I've liked classical music. I like opera. Lots of those sort of areas of things. If you look at Ukraine, if you look at that area, Russia, Ukraine, everything, and at that time Ukraine was part of Russia. Very big part of Ukrainian life. So it was just part of me. Sports, gymnastics, all that sort of thing. Olympics, anything like that I would watch, anything like that. Again, I thought, go there, what's big? What's big in that culture? Sports, gymnastics, that sort of thing. Then we get a little bit tighter than that. So music, those sort of things. I grew up and I would love Cossacks. If I ever saw Cossacks or anything like that on TV, in films, in circus or anything with the horses and doing the acts and that sort of thing, I flipping loved it. I loved it. I loved the costumes. I just really flipping loved it. Cossacks, Ukrainian. If I ever saw what you'd say Russian dancing, I just flipping adored it. And again, the sort of dancing I would talk about is where the sort of crouch down and kick the feet and that sort of thing, which is predominantly Ukrainian. So many things like that suddenly hit me. As soon as my mum said Ukrainian, I thought, that don't surprise me in the freaking least, because everything in my life that I love seems to have a connection to it. Why? The only thing that I can surmise as to why is your genes and parts of your ancestors and parts of the memories of your ancestors and everything are handed down to you, and it just becomes part of you. Food, I like a lot of the food. I'm a pretty flipping big beetroot eater, and I found out, yeah, it's one of the staple foods of the Ukraine. Beetroot, cabbage, potatoes, that sort of. And I make a bloody mean borscht, Ukrainian borscht. I've even had Ukrainians that actually come from the country and have had it and said, that is flipping good. That is what I have when I'm at home, just like that. So it's all part of me. What's my very favourite flower? The red poppy, which I call the wild field red poppy. The ones you get when it's Armistice Day, that sort of thing. And then later on I found out that, hang on, in Ukraine there's red poppies on just about every flipping thing. They put it on, they'll do it into clothing, onto wall tapestries, you name it, there'll be red poppies. It's not the national flower of the Ukraine, but there seems to be this big thing for red poppies, and that just happens to be, out of all the flowers, the wild red poppy. And I could go on with lots of bits and bobs that just hit me at that time. Now, some of you listening to this will probably be going, yeah, I know where you're coming from. That's what happened to me. Or, I think that's happening to me. Maybe it's just coming to you. Maybe you're just going to find out. You just found out, whatever. But a lot of people will know what I'm talking about. So, yeah, I found out, and that's where, for me, trundles off to. And I did look into it, and it was the family town, small town, where, as far as I know, we all came from, is, if I say it right, Trostianets, which is in the west of Ukraine, which is there's the east and west. The west is very, as far as I know, very Ukraine. East sort of blends a bit. And it's right over the west. So far to the west that I found out that my town, my ancestral town, just bloody like me, my ancestral town was Ukrainian, Polish, Ukrainian. Let's have a dance. Where should we go? No, over the years the border kept changing, and you'd be Ukrainian, wake up the next day, you're Polish, and then some godforsaken time back to Ukrainian. So, yeah, so that's the ancestral town way over there on the west. I don't know a lot about it. I've seen pictures about it. I know if not now, there was a factory there that churns out chocolate, and obviously people looking a bit like me. I haven't really gone into looking for family from there. Sometimes you have to say to yourself, maybe let sleeping dogs lie. It probably seems like a good idea, but maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Will it make a lot of difference to my life? Not really. I was born in England, grew up in England, taught in England, speak English, think English, am English. Just hope America don't take England over and Trump's our flipping president, because he'll bloody send me home. Oh shite. He'll send me home and I'll never get back because of build a bloody wall. Oh dear. Sorry, but yeah, apart from those genes, I am totally flipping English. I could see that point that it'd be sending me to somewhere that's, you might as well send me to bloody Mars or somewhere. In fact, I'd probably get on better in Mars. I don't know, but I can only guess what somebody feels like that grew up as one thing and then just gets shunted to another and said, well, that's you, sod off. It doesn't work that way, really. So yeah, it's not a long one. It's what's my line? That's my line, really. I don't know if you guessed it or not, but yeah, goes that way. Half of my family, then, I suppose, is Ukrainian. Now, I would put some music on and get up and give you a dance, but all I got to say on that is bog off, because I'd look a prat. I don't think I could freaking do it at my age. I'm going to have a look into it and see young men doing all this athletic Ukrainian dancing, leaping, and it's like a forerunner of all this stuff they do in the street now, really. You look at it. I'm going to have to look into and see what the old men do when they get to my age and they can't sort of flipping do that anymore. Maybe just stand there doing that. Oh no. Anyway, not a long one this time, but yeah, that's my family line in a nutshell. And I went along this one really just to show that there is more to people and what they believe. I would hazard a guess that people watching that if you're American, English, whatever, American, Italian, English, Italian, French, whatever, something, although you are predominantly that nationality, look at yourself and say, do I pick up things, look at the things I do in my life, and if you've never questioned what you do, question it and say, well, hang on, I've always liked that, I've always liked that, I've always liked that, which may seem nothing, but have a look at them and then say, actually, does any of them tie together? And you might find that some of those things that you never knew tie together. And if nobody ever told you that there's this nationality or that nationality or whatever in you, you may be going to work it out yourself by what's in your genes, what's part of you. Because whatever, however English and however long I've been here and everything, that lot was in me. And when my mum told me, I just went, I'm not surprised. It really was not a surprise. In fact, if anything, it was like saying, you're right, you got it right. So anyway, that's it. Not very exciting for you. It's a little bit exciting for me. So I'm going to bog off, and I'd say good night to you in Ukrainian if I knew how. So, good night, sweet. Have fun.